Welcome back, folks. Today in Doc's Diner, we're going to have a fish pie with like almost no carbs in it. So I've got like a special trick for that. What I've been doing just before is I've been warming up some milk here. So what I got is about a litre of whole milk with, weirdly, there's a couple of onions, a onion sliced up in there as well. And I'm going to add a little bit of mustard to it. You know from the last video, I like a bit of mustard. If I can find my spoon. Find a spoon anyway. So there's a little drop of mustard in there, and you know, as we said before, there's a tiny amount of carbs in mustard, but obviously not in any great amount in the bit we're using there. I'm going to come back to that because I'll have a bit more mustard in a minute. But first of all, what we're doing is poaching some fish. So I've got a bit of fish here from a local supermarket. I'm going to cube it up a bit. Fish is so expensive, isn't it? You wouldn't believe this. You probably guessed from my voice I live in Cornwall, or I'm at least from Cornwall. I can literally see the sea out of the window behind me if I turn around. Fish, though, so expensive still. There's on the TV shows they always sort of they love to show you going down to the harbour side, isn't it? You know, and meeting a jolly kind of ruby-faced fisherman who'll sell you some fish straight off the boat, which is great television. But in reality, that's not really what it's like living in a place like this. That's, you know, those are working environments. The guys are busy. They don't really sell fish off the side of the quay in that sort of way. You can get it. I'm not saying you can't, but it's not as it's made out on television. Rather, you know, the fish is taken to market and sold commercially, and that or sold to restaurants, you know, and then you can purchase it obviously in the supermarkets, which is what I did. But this is £10 worth of fish. You know, I got it cheap as it was a bit of a deal in terms of like, you know, free for a tenner. But you know, it's what puts me off fish, really. You know, it's healthy. I love it. But really, the price of it, you know, the fact that you can get a sort of a sirloin steak for the same price as a piece of fish. I know fish is better, but struggle with that one. Anyway, we're having a bit of healthy fish today. What's better in Cornwall or in Great Britain than fish? I'm inspired. I was watching a bit of Rick Stein the other day. You know, he was doing a fish pie, so I thought I'm going to give that one a go. I've had them before. I want to do it, though, without any carbs. So far, we're carbless, aren't we? We've just got milk and fish. And I've got 3 different fish here. I've got a bit of salmon, a bit of haddock, and a bit of cod. As you know from one of my other videos, I'm partial to, be careful with that one, I'm partial to a bit of mackerel. That's a very kind of Cornish fish. Pilchards as well, very Cornish fish. But a bit of mackerel on a bed of roasted veg. We'll be doing that one, definitely. It's one of my favourites and one of the easiest. But today we've got like a trio of fish. You can see as well I've avoided prawn, because I don't like prawn. That's the great thing about cooking stuff yourself, isn't it? You don't like it, don't include it. It's brilliant. You'll see that there won't be any parsley in this. I cannot stand parsley. I think that comes from when we were kids. We used to have cod in butter sauce or cod in cheese sauce, you know, the frozen ones in the little packets. Mum would get those for us and love them. And then every now and again, it would be cod in parsley sauce, you know, and it's such a letdown when you think you're going to get a mouthful of lovely cheesy sauce, and all of a sudden you get that strong taste of parsley. So for me, that was always a bit of a no-no. Now, what we're going to do is poach that. So effectively, it's kind of like you would an egg, really, and it's a way of cooking it. I think they poach it in milk because it sort of helps take away some of the fishy flavour. I think that's what it always feels like that to me. So it's just going to cook away for about 8 minutes. I'll stop the video then and we'll come back to see me what I do next. But the mystery is going to be what's going to go on top of this, because it's not going to be mashed potato, is it? And it's not going to be pastry. Plus, I've kind of invented a new bit of a cheese sauce from doing a little bit of research. So you'll see the cheese sauce without flour as well. So there's a couple surprises coming up. But join me again. Well, don't. You just stay where you are because I'm leaving. You're staying there. So I'll see you again in a minute or two, and we'll go through what happens after that's been poached for about 7 or 8 minutes. Okay, so we're back again. Now, this is when it's going to get a bit tricky. What I'm going to do is turn that heat off, and I'm going to try to take this and basically separate out the fish from the milk. So what I'm doing is I'm pouring it into a bowl with a sieve. Trying not to burn myself up. Okie dokie, so I'll pan out in a second. Alright, I think we've done it. Yes, we seem to have done it. Right, so now we have a collection there of nicely poached fish. I hope you can see that with some onion in amongst it. Okay, what I'm going to do is see if we can now. This is when it's going to get really interesting because that's rather warm. Balance it on something. We'll balance it precariously on that little saucepan. Keep that. Going to keep that milk. That's going to have a second life. And I'm going to see now if we can just drop some of this fish into that pan over there. Trying to knock off the skin as I go. Not a chef, you see, my fingers are not asbestos. So I'm struggling a little bit. So, picking out some of this fish, and what we're going to do, get the skin off it, and, well, there it comes. Push it over to that other pan. Now, what I might do again is pause the filming a little bit, because you don't want to watch me just burn my fingers. Let it cool a tiny bit more, and make my life a little bit easier. You see what I'm doing? I've basically strained it, kept the milk, and now I'm going to separate it out. So, a little pause while I sort this out. Now for the cheese sauce, the magic bit. This is going to start in the conventional way. You've seen me do this before with the vegetarian lasagna. This time though, there's no butter. So just taking a bit of, sorry, there's no butter, there's no flour. Butter's okay. Flour is the one I struggle with. So what I'm doing is melting down a little bit of butter, as usual. Same sort of size as I did last time, like a couple of old-fashioned matchboxes, but this is when it's going to get a little weird. Now, I was doing a little bit of research on the internet, and some people were chatting to me, giving me a few different ideas. And instead of using flour to thicken this, what I'm going to be doing is using my favourite. So if you know me well, you know I love mascarpone cheese. Mascarpone cheese or mascarpone cream is brilliant. People often have it, with a dessert. So you have like a little curl of it with dessert. But because I can't have a dessert of carbohydrates, I've been known sometimes just to eat mascarpone cheese. That's kind of gross, maybe. It's a kind of a cream cheese, a sweetish kind of cream cheese, but it is low in carbohydrates. He says, just checking quickly, free carbohydrates, 3% carbohydrate. Yes, they're only free carbohydrates. So what I'm doing now is melting that with the butter. And then, there we are. The heat was a bit warm there, but I'm just melting some of that in there with the butter. And of course, you've guessed already, what I'm about to do is add back in that strained milk that I had earlier on. So that's a little bit of full fat milk going back in. So that's the same milk I was using earlier. Okay, so that's got a little bit of onion essence in it. Perhaps we could call it that, and a little bit of fish essence in it. But, it is a fish sauce, so that goes in. It's about a litre. Oh no, did you spot that? Tiny little bit of fish skin escaped. It's gone in there somewhere. We'll see if we can find that one. Oh no, it's a piece of fish. Nope, that was a piece of mascarpone. Whatever it was. It's safe in there. It's for human consumption. It's okay. So I'm just going to bring that back around again. Get my magic wand, as you know. This is the trick. Get my little stirring stick. Get that mixed up nicely. So warming that through, of course, the milk's already warm this time because I've just been using it to poach the fish. It's quite an efficient dish. Now, we're talking about the money involved here again. I know I keep going about money, but that's because that's what my doctorate is. It's of economics, not of food. £10 for the fish. I could have got it cheaper. Fishmonger. Definitely could have got it cheaper. Should have got it cheaper. The rest of the meal, there's about £1.50 for the mascarpone, about £1 for the milk, and then a bit of cheese. And our secret ingredients. But the whole thing came to about £15. But again, I think you could have bought the fish a bit cheaper. Plus, of course, bear in mind, I'm making something here that would cover like 4 people. This is not just a one-person's lunch. It does get me, though, because I looked, there was a fish pie in there with mashed potato on top, and it was like £5 or something, yeah? So this doing-it-yourself business is expensive sometimes. Like I said, I could have brought down the price of the fish. Different times of the year, might be able to get a bit better bargain on that one. I did look at some frozen fish, but I just wasn't too struck on that. So let's work on the fish side. What I'm going to do with this, it's starting to thicken up a little bit. I'm going to do just like I did last time, add some of my finely grated hard Italian cheese to go with the mascarpone. That'll thicken. Ooh, that's quite warm. That'll thicken up quite nicely. We'll have a little bit of a taste of that. Oh, that is nice. Just going to a little bit more mustard. Probably a bit too much. There we go. A little bit more mustard. I've forgotten the nutmeg. Should have got some nutmeg. No, you put nutmeg with fish sauce, apparently. Didn't do any. Never mind, never mind. Just keep that going. So just using up a bit of the cheese. This is the cheese I've got left over from the other day when I cooked the lasagna. A bit messy there, but never mind. So yeah, I'm just mixing that up, letting it thicken a little bit. And that'll be ready for our next stage. In goes the last of the cheese. So there's 2 more secret ingredients yet. Of course, one of them is going to be the replacement for the mashed potato, but the other one, and I don't know if this is a particularly Cornish thing, there's another one missing from that fish pie over there. You may know what it is already. You can kind of like chuck in the comments if you think you know what it is before I get to it. Although, of course, you know, historically it would look like you waited until I told you what it was. But keep that one warming up a little bit. It's coming together nicely now. Coating the back of the spoon. Oh, that's tasting nice. Oh. Actually, that would be kind of okay just like it is. You could just kind of have that as a soup. Do they call it a chowder? Probably not. That's not a chowder, is it? But my golly, I could have a cup of that. That's really nice. Okay. Now, without further ado, just take that off a sec. Because I want to add the secret ingredient. What was the secret ingredient? Particularly in the Cornish fish pie? Hard-boiled eggs. You've got to have some hard-boiled eggs. Okay, in goes some hard-boiled eggs with it. On one of Rick Stein's shows the other day, there's a lovely old Cornish gentleman, he's a gardener, I think, and he was having some fish pie with Mr. Stein, and he's adamant you had to have a bit of hard-boiled eggs in it, gives you a bit of texture. Okay? So in goes some hard-boiled eggs. I do the same thing with, I don't eat pasta anymore, but when I used to eat pasta, I would do the same thing. Some hard-boiled eggs in pasta is very nice. So, managed not to burn myself there, managed not to cut myself. Just flicking that a little bit more. I need to pick up my little spoon. We're nearly ready now. I'm going to give that quite a nice generous helping of black pepper in lieu of nutmeg. Okay, and we're nearly ready. I do mean to cook one day a stargazy pie, which is a special dish which is from Mousehole, which is a place in Cornwall, which basically has pilchards in it, and it has the pilchards basically looking up through the pie crust. Okay, so you cook the pilchards in the pie hole, but you have their heads sticking through the top of the pie crust. I just need to think of a way of doing a pie crust that isn't flour-based, isn't carbohydrate-based. And then I'll do a stargazy pie for you, and for my own amusement. It's interesting, of course, because it uses pilchards, which is an oily fish, and I always think with pies, it tends to be fish which aren't oily, but clearly you could put a little bit of pilchards or mackerel into a fish pie, if it'll go into a stargazy pie. Okay, so that's just overheated that slightly there. Hurt it, just slightly. Don't know if you can hear in the background, there's a rather large motorcycle just rode past. Not mine, unfortunately. Right, now we just simply, I'm going to pour some of that into there. Okay, let that come up a little bit. Not too much of it, because I want to save a bit for the next bit. Give that a little rock. That's looking good. Okay. That is looking quite good there. Get some up the far end. Nobody wants a dry part of the pie. Okay, so that's looking quite good. Now, what's my secret ingredient? My secret ingredient, and I was so excited when I thought about this. What we've got here is some cauliflower. So effectively, I'm putting a layer of cauliflower on top. You'll see the cauliflower looks slightly odd, it looks slightly brown, and this is because I've roasted the cauliflower in the oven. So rather than boiling it, I've roasted it in the oven for about 5 or 6 minutes. And what that does, of course, is it cooks it. It's now soft. I can feel it in my hands. It's soft, but it dries it out as well. Because cauliflower, of course, if you boil it, it's wet already. Whoa, that ring's getting at me. It's wet already. And of course, if you boil it, it's wetter still. So what I've done is dried it really in the oven. Some people have done a similar thing with, this is where I got the idea from, with cauliflower rice, which is like very, very ground up cauliflower, if you like. Not a big fan of that. It's okay for using in it, with a curry and rice type approach, but I wasn't keen on it for a top. Look at that, there you go. So there's my little bed of cauliflower on top. So we've got one of our 5 a day. It's healthy fish and one of our 5 a day. And then, of course, what we can do is pour the remainder of that cheese sauce over the top. And now, there we go, cheese and mascarpone sauce over the top. Absolutely gorgeous. And what I've got last of all is, I'm being a bit lazy today and I've got some grated cheese, so I'm not going to grate any more cheese. But I've got a little bit of grated cheese to slip over the top to form a crust. Okay, so there you go. Fish pie without any carbs. Well, with really tiny carbs, okay? 3 different fish, cauliflowers, so you've got a bit of vegetable as well, and a lovely bit of mascarpone cheese sauce, and it is absolutely delicious. That'll go in the oven now, you know, the same way you would with a cauliflower cheese or something, for about half an hour or so. Again, 180, 200 degrees. And I shall be enjoying that a little bit later on. So again, thanks for your patience with my rather amateurish chefing. But you know, this is how I live, and this is how I try and avoid carbs because of my health. So I hope you're enjoying it. Please subscribe to the channel overall if you can, or press a like, or what have you. Or, you know, if you've got any ideas for me to try stuff, put it down in the comments below. But again, thanks for your patience, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening or night or whatever time it is that you're watching this.